Schaeffer might be dismissed as a scholar or even original thinker, though it can be argued he was both, but particularly the latter. But his realistic, existential Christianity is remarkable, and perhaps unique for someone of his biblical orthodoxy in his generation, and is the secret, perhaps, of his impact on many people of diverse backgrounds and nationalities. Colin Duryea. First impressions. I hopped off the mail bus on a warm afternoon in July 1964, having asked the driver, "Arrêtez-vous, s'il vous plaît, à l'abri?" The name L'Abri means the shelter, and it was first coined by Francis Schaeffer in Champry, the village in Switzerland where the family had lived before relocating to Weymouth-sur-Olon, a tiny village in the Protestant Canton de Vaud. The name is based on Psalm 91, verse 1. He who dwells in the shelter of the Most High will abide in the shadow of the Almighty. I was unaware of any of the history of this magical place, arriving at the Schaeffers' door as a rising college junior, aged 19. My whole life was about to change. I was not a believer at the time, and so was unaware of many of the claims for the Christian view of the world. Yet, thanks to a man named Joe Brown, I had become intrigued and was open to hearing about spiritual matters in a way I had never been before. A marvelous instructor at Harvard College, Harold O. J. Brown, 1933 to 2007, presented the glories of the Christian faith to his classes during the academic year 1963 to 1964. By the spring, Joe and I had become good friends. He saw that I was spiritually hungry, and he urged me to visit his friend Francis Schaeffer over the summer, in the hopes that I could learn more about the same worldview that he had labored to commend in his lectures. Indeed, as I would soon learn, he really sent me there in the hopes that I could embrace the Christian faith. Joe was a teaching assistant for a large course in the history of Western epic and drama, known affectionately as Hum 2 by the students. The main lecturer was the legendary John Finley, crafter of America's post-war general education approach to university studies. As an article about him in the Harvard Crimson put it, in appearance he combined the best traits of Henry James's English gentleman and Robert Frost's New England farmer. His concern was that a person was not truly educated if he became so specialized that he lost sight of the big picture, including issues such as meaning, fulfillment, and human flourishing. This meant students had to be much more aware than they typically were of Western history and traditional humanistic values. Hum 2 was a large class, and so for practical reasons, it was broken down into smaller groups called sections. Here, students could have a more personalized access to the material. Our section instructor was Joe, who was working in the history department of the graduate school, writing his dissertation on Laski, Johannes Lasko, the Polish reformer of the 16th century. Joe was unabashed, though tactful, even brilliant in his presentation of evangelical Christianity in contrast to various worldviews held by the ancient Greeks or the modern absurdists. All of it was new and immensely fascinating to me, a young man in my late teens. Joe and I became friends and had many long conversations about matters of faith and life. So, on the strength of Joe's recommendation, as I traveled through Europe with my brother and a backpack full of essentials, I looked for a chance to check out Francis Schaeffer. In mid-July, my brother returned to the States. Now on my own, I took the train down from Zurich, where we had been visiting a colleague of our dad's, to the beautiful city of Lausanne, on the shore of Lake Geneva. I had called in advance and gotten Mrs. Schaeffer on the phone. She could not have been more welcoming, and said that Joe Brown was their good friend. He had no doubt alerted them to my possible visit,